Welcome to Levante's installment of Hot Topics, Take Back Your Vendor Master File. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start this. Jeff Wiest, go ahead and take it.
Okay, we'll get started. As Chris said, I'm Jeff Wiest, Senior Solutions Advisor here with Levante. I'm here with Alok Bandia, our Senior Director of Product Management. And since we, as he said, we only have the 30 minutes, we're going to start promptly here and keep moving fairly quickly. Although, as he said, you can communicate and interact anytime in between that you'd like. Here is the agenda. We'll do brief introductions, go over some background information, discuss the challenges that you're likely facing in managing your vendor masters, and then give you some insight into the solutions Levante has developed to leverage technology in addressing those issues. We'll try to leave some time also at the end for questions as well, because that's still usually the way it works out. Okay, by way of introductions, as I mentioned, I'm a Senior Solutions Advisor here and joined Levante fairly recently. Come from the business process side, having led an AP Shared Service Center for many years, more than I'd like to admit. While in that role, we acquired and integrated over 20 businesses in the AP function with them, and by necessity implemented multiple automation initiatives to be able to keep up, basically. It was, as you might imagine, stressful, but a great experience, and truly taught me the value of leveraging technology in the fullest sense. Alok, you want to speak to your background a little bit?
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Alok Bandia, and I am responsible for product management, product strategy at Levante. I have been here for about over 2 years, and before coming here, I spent 16 years at Hewlett-Packard Company, managing worldwide procurement and support for various, accounts payable processes. So I have a lot of background in shared services, procurement. Also, for HP, I also manage some of the engineering and operational activities. My core competency is in strategic sourcing, commodity management, risk management, and then defining product strategy and management. Majority of the time is spent on high-tech manufacturing and software area. I have been in this area for about, in the Valley for about 30 years, and what we are trying to do is to take Levante from our recovery audit roots to more broader into the supply management arena. Looking forward to talking to you more about our latest and greatest software and services that we are launching right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Alok. And for those that just joined us, back to me, Jeff Wiest again. I guess you can see the backgrounds that were up there. We'll move on to the next slide here. Levante started out over 10 years ago as the brainchild of Joe Flynn, who wanted to create a better, more automated and complete way to conduct AP statement audits or credit recovery. You may remember the firm as Audit Solutions, which was the original name. The company excelled at automating the outreach to and retrieval of information from its client suppliers, and in fact was awarded a patent for the process. The result has been a service that is uniquely capable of the most thorough outreach and highest compliance in the statement audit industry, which allows Levante to conduct a truly continuous process rather than the old school periodic one that typically occurs on only an annual or longer basis and reaches only the top few vendors by spend. Our supplier network, as you can see now, is over 2 million connections and continues to grow. In developing this technology, it quickly became very apparent just how critical it was to have high-quality information in the vendor master. I'll talk a bit about how this was addressed in the recovery solution, and Alok will address our SIM or supplier information management product after that. It goes without saying that you've all likely experienced the challenges noted on this slide based on your interest in the topic. The first big obstacle is simply communicating with what can be an overwhelming number of suppliers and systems. So Levante first built a platform that could handle all the connections needed and called it Levante Connect. I know not overly creative, but to the point. As a natural extension of obtaining vendor master data from our clients and interacting with virtually all of their suppliers on an ongoing basis, it became critical to clean up the contact information and to tie together any duplicates or parent subsidiary records that existed. So the recovery application initially was leveraged as a tool to help with these issues. Next there, Chris. Here you can see how important this really is. You can see in the first statistic that we update contact information approximately 50% of the time, with email corrections needed in 28% of the cases. And per Dun & Bradstreet, on an overall basis, you can see that HQ addresses change annually 20% of the time. Obviously, that high rate is related to M&A activity in many cases, and others with just a physical move. And you can see that the phones and the contact names also change very frequently as well. Next. In a real case example here, Levante has a large global pharmaceutical client, and you can see that we've actually updated a full 63% of their supplier information, or touched 63% of the suppliers with updates, using a combination of automated outreach, live contact, and through our existing network and information that is embedded there. Some of the biggest issues here are no surprise. You can see the huge number of phone number changes, contact names, fax numbers, and email addresses that all required updates. On this slide, you can see the benefits of Levante's supplier network, in that the highlighted U's indicate where vendor information was missing in our client's records, but was available on our network, and therefore was updated automatically and provided to our clients. This same tool, with various other outputs, allows you to view any related suppliers that are likely duplicates or are parent, subsidiary, or parent-child relationships, based on numerous cross-checks that are built into the system, even down to the level of matching only on just fax numbers. This whole area of poor vendor master records is obviously very widespread and recognized as a problem, but people have been slow to act for various reasons. One of the reasons is that while everyone knows it creates problems and inefficiencies and regulatory exposure, very few have tried to actually quantify that. And because it's not simple, it touches many different functions in business. Things like reissued checks, vendor calls, fee notices, and the other things listed here do cost money. It's important to track that information and start to make people aware of it. In addition, the risk for fraud based on vendor master weakness is also very high. The Association of Certified Fraud Examiners says that businesses lose up to 7% of their revenue to fraud, which we double-check that number. It seems so high, but in fact, that does keep coming up as the actual number that it has been found to occur. In addition to not having quantified these things, I believe many simply shrug it off because they don't have a good, reasonable cost solution to address it. So in that vein, I've tried to give you some insight as to how these some of these vendor master problems have been addressed as a byproduct or side benefit of Levante's recovery application, and how that has developed over the years and been found to be very useful for our clients. And now Alok's going to talk to our SIM solution and how you can really streamline the process and also very significantly prevent having to go back and do another vendor master cleanup again at some point in the future, because most of the solutions today only address a one-time cleanup effort and don't really prevent the recurrence of most of the issues that caused it to begin with. So Alok, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, everybody, again. So as Jeff mentioned, Lavante has been doing recovery auditing for a number of years, and during the process we found out that one of the things our customers are struggling with is to, as we do these statement audits, right? We have been, as you know, for 10 plus years, we have been trying to get suppliers to give us the statements on behalf of the customers, and we audit them, the process that Jeff described. And during the process, we found out that vendor master files are very poorly maintained, and a lot of the people's supplier contact information are decaying very, very rapidly. So what Lavante embarked on is creating a robust platform, what we call Connect, which will allow our customers and suppliers to always remain connected. So this Connect platform refreshes, constantly refreshes the connectivity. And connectivity could be email, fax, phone, postal mail, all of these different ways. We connect with and cause the connection between suppliers and customers. And this Connect software or Connect platform allows us to, keep suppliers and customers connected. What I'm going to describe to you is that how the software works, the solution for Connect. We also call it supply information management, because that's what the Connect enables. Connect enables our customers to manage their supplier information. It's fully web-based. It's a multi-tenant software as a service, and the onus for managing the supplier data is on supplier. I mean, our customers are always having difficulty because they have thousands and thousands of suppliers. It's very, very difficult for our customers, particularly for the accounts payable department, to keep it updated. Nobody has enough, people resources to do that. So Connect allows us that the suppliers manage their own profile information, whereas the customer is doing the oversight. So information, whatever the supplier is putting in, is reviewable by customer prior to upload into customer's ERP system. And then customer can also have a real-time reporting that they can export and upload into their ERP as well. And supplier has the benefit because supplier can update once and notify all the connected suppliers, all the connected customers. So here is the kind of, I wanted to show you a view of our new supply information management system. This is a view where customer is logging in, and as soon as the customer logs in, this is their dashboard. The dashboard, I'll walk through this whole dashboard in a step-by-step fashion, but you can see in this one dashboard, you get a good concentrated view of where your entire supply base is, how they are registering, how they are getting invited, how they're registering, and what are the data and processes you need to review. It also talks about the tax ID verification in an online process, talks about how you're tracking your diversity, talks about how you do the OFAC check, address check. All of these things are all consolidated in this one dashboard. So the top left-hand corner of the dashboard has view of the task list. So a customer user may have a task list in terms of reviewing the results, approving new suppliers, entering suppliers ID, or reviewing the updated supplier file. These are the examples of the task list that they're going through. Next area is just a view of how a typical supplier registration status may be looking like. You can see how many of all the suppliers that invited, how many have, how many are in the invited status, how many have actually registered, how many profile is incomplete, how many has completed the profile. And some of the suppliers, honestly, sometimes we deactivate. We have a rules engine running so that if you haven't done business with a particular supplier for 18 months or 2 years, then we can deactivate them as well. But we have a view of this whole thing, and this data is, one can drill down to the data to look at the details of each of those areas and how many suppliers you have and what are the details. So in this view, the bar chart represents how we are inviting the suppliers. That means, and what is the mode of invitation. Remember, I mentioned that we are one of the unique company where we support fax, email, postal mail, all of these ways to, ask suppliers to connect with the customer, right? And so as we're inviting all these means, also the top, the line chart shows how the suppliers has been coming in and registering. So this is a one view where you can see the bar chart where you are inviting, and then the line chart on the top is how they are coming in and registering into the Lavante portal. Here is an example of legal ID match. Now, since we do it for all countries, the legal ID match here is a very generic term, but essentially in the US we'll call it tax identification number or TIN match, and you can one view is there where you can look at the entire consolidated view for all the suppliers, but then you can from the country drop down you can look at all your domestic US suppliers versus Canadian suppliers and other suppliers, and you can look at their legal ID matches and mismatches as the case may be. So the red area here is showing how many successful matches, and then blue is saying how many unsuccessful matches, and then the orange area is the matches that are still undetermined, because sometimes a user has to go in and look at the data in details to see what's going on. Next. So and this is an area where you did like a search screen. On the left-hand side, it's showing you, the search criteria for searching the entire supply base, which is on the right-hand side. So right-hand side is the, entire supply base, and you are looking at, browsing through the supply base by using the search parameters on the left-hand side. So the key interesting thing is that you can export this search results into either PDF, Excel, or CSV format so that it can be uploaded into another system. You can also identify, certain suppliers, select certain rows here, and you can begin the outreach, or you can select certain suppliers and send them a message. You can or select all the suppliers to send them a message. If suppose you had an initiative going on, new corporate initiative to talk to suppliers or communicate them about something. It could be new payment plan or new incentive to get paid early or whatever. So that can be all be managed through here. Also on the left hand side there are links to approved suppliers. You can search for suppliers that are needing customers approval. You can look for those. You can add a supplier ID. And also, if suppliers are, because we constantly monitor the supply base against OFAC. OFAC stands for Office of Foreign Assets Control, part of the U.S. Department of Treasury. So we constantly validate the supply base against the OFAC, and if any of the positives come out, and sometimes those are false positive, we allow that to be marked false positive, as well as allow some certain suppliers to be deactivated if they are truly part of the OFAC list. Next. Now, I mentioned to you about how we invite suppliers through email, fax, postal mail, all of the different ways. At the end of the day, supplier eventually gets a mail like the example I've shown here, where in that mail there is a registration link. There is also instructions about how to do certain things so that it minimizes any help desk calls from suppliers to us. And by the way, we sort of manage the entire process on behalf of the customer, so that customers don't get bombarded with supplier calls. So supplier calls us if they have any question. And so this is a typical example. Acme is the name of the supplier, and Levante, of course, is us. So we sort of act as the agent of Acme in this example, where Acme is the customer. And so in the letter we state that we are acting on behalf of Acme to asking suppliers to register into the system. And so suppliers use this first link to click, and this is a very secured link with a secured login information. They click on that link to register into the system. If the user in this example would say that Bob Baker, if Bob Baker is not the right person to contact person for Acme, then Bob can use the second link to forward this email to somebody else, and we will send another invitation to that second person who is the new contact person for Acme. So this is the way the whole process works. Next slide. And then eventually, after creating the login credentials such as password and forget password information, the user will come to a page where we'll be dynamically validating the company's tax ID. And we can validate US tax ID or Canadian tax ID, all goes to this supplier registration page where we validate the supplier's name, legal name, against the tax identification number of the supplier that the supplier user provides, and we validate real time with the IRS website. And supplier gets to fully register into the system only after that successful validation of the legal name and tax ID has taken place. And then also at the bottom, supplier gets to under penalty of perjury, they get to sort of certify that they have this information is correct, and they will come back and update the information if it changes. Okay, next. So at the end, what the supplier does, supplier user reaches a place where they have a view of all their connections with variety of suppliers, a variety of customers. So essentially, suppliers can have multiple connections in one place. Remember, I mentioned that supplier has many times have to update their information only once, and it gets updated on the profiles of all their customers. So that's the benefit for the supplier as well. And we don't charge any suppliers any money for doing that. So supplier picks the customer. In this case, in this example, supplier has picked Acme as the customer, and then supplier clicks on the complete profile area to go to the profile completion page, and then supplier will also get a visual cue or visual representation in terms of how the profile is completed. If some of you who have used LinkedIn or Facebook, etc., the whole process is equally, if not more, user-friendly from a supplier standpoint, because you don't want suppliers to get frustrated with the whole process. We have kept it very, very intuitive, fun for the suppliers to complete their profile. Next slide. So in the last few minutes, what I've tried to do is to give you a quick overview of how Levante Supply Information Management works on top of Levante Connect platform. It's sort of how we maintain ongoing connectivity. The lesson from here is that management of vendor master file requires a constant attention, and now you are taking that. You are not at the mercy of getting your vendor master file decaying, because it's constantly getting updated and getting refreshed. It's an evergreen vendor master file that you have, and the technology is required to manage that, because otherwise it's humanly impossible to manage hundreds of thousands of supplier profile manually. And last but not the least, the solution is very elegant. It does not require any IT interface unless you wanted to have a direct integration to your internal system. It can be done very, very quickly and efficiently. We can certainly onboard a new customer in a matter of a day or hours in a day, rather than weeks and months and years some of our competitors require. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
All right. Thanks, Alok. Thanks, Jeff, for your insights. Now, if anyone has any questions, you can actually go ahead and just ask them over the phone, or you could also put them in the questions or the chat area. I do have one in the questions area, and this one says, how much IT support is needed to implement Levante SIM?
Okay, thank you, Chris. So as I mentioned, we are fully software as a service, and the way we work is pretty much like in a subscription basis. So as a result, all the user requires is a browser, and when the user has a browser like Internet Explorer or Firefox or Chrome, any of the browsers we support, and that's the only thing the user needs. User needs the browser, the login ID, and that we will invite them and provide them, and then they can upload their own vendor file, and really not much IT support is required as long as they have access to their internal vendor master file. Once they give it the vendor master file, they can basically watch how the vendor master file remains updated, and from time to time all they have to do is to extract the file and upload it back into their ERP system. They will need IT support only if they want to make this connection in a real time and live with their transactional system. If a customer wants to make that thing constant connectivity, then they may require some IT assistance to make that integration.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any coming in. So at this time, what I'll go ahead and do is put the information up for Jeff and Alok. If anyone has questions or wants more information, feel free to contact them by email. Their email addresses are up there. I will be putting this into a PDF format for the slides, and we have also recorded it, and we'll send it out to you after this. So thank you for attending today, and we hope to see you at more Hot Topics webinars. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.